Ano nimong usa ka butang nga dili ka sigurado?
Dili na siya nga, dili ko sigurado. Nako gibarugan niya. Willing kay ko nga mo present ana sa mga tao maminaw. Pero malingaw sad ko nga naa makauyog bitaw nga naagi naapod mga lain-lain pod nga mapagtuo.
Basig kutob ra sa uyog sad.
Kana.
Basig kutob ra sa maybe
exercise
na
to.
Maybe nagpauyog-uyog lang ka pero dili gid mo usbon imong pananaw sa kalibutan kay mo na gid imong pananaw sa kalibutan dili na gid mausab.
Naay usahay nga mura bag si Optimus Prime sa Transformers nga si truck nga papunag pako. Nga papunag kanang kuan katong nay panahon nga or part sa Transformers nga si Optimus Prime na butangan og pako. Nga nahimo na siyang kuan. Mulupad na si Optimus Prime. Supposedly, truck naman to siya.
Naunsa man siya.
Mao na.
Naunsa man siya, boy John.
Muna akong kuwanan.
So, has there ever been a time nga imuhang pananaw sa kalibutan, you were standing on firm ground about something. Unya paghuman, dili kay natayog lang, natagak yun ang imuhang pananaw ng usa ka butang.
Maybe, yeah.
Would you be able
as far as I can recollect, maybe, but I could not.
Would you be able to recollect what it is or remember what it is?
Ato pa subayon kay way sa tag mga inana nga mga events nga. You believe a lot. Mga tao, somehow. Mga tao nga imong gisaligan. Pareha ko na nang ginalantaw nimo, taas kay mo panglantaw nga mga tao niya. Eventually, you will be you were reminded by people kay nana ka mo bitaw to ingon ko nimo ana good ka na mga nanang instances unya ikaw gud mismo personally ang naka-experience so
na may saying nag-ingon by Jaya nga the worst thing that could ever happen to your heroes is for you to meet them.
Oh yeah, I've heard that already.
So kung nakagi-idolize unya you're looking at them from a pedestal of some sort, and you only get information about them through people who are for them, or maybe like books about them, etc. Then you look up to them. Pag human you finally meet them, you meet the real deal. It's not what's in the brochure.
No, lahi day.
And I think that's very common, right?
Yeah.
And I imagine, and I have a theory that probably applies to everybody. Kay lahi man gyud ang imong pananaw sa usa ka tawo kung from afar. Di ba? Dili man gyud na siya sakto. Dili man na accurate, di ba? Sakto ba ko?
Oh yeah. 100%. I would say whatever you see with the person in your perspective, example, wa pa ka kaila. And you have all these ideals that you see that this person matches. And slowly when you get to know the person or you get to know people around the person, you get to hear other perspectives. And it shapes your perspective. And then another person and so on and so forth until ikaw na gid mismo that you're there and you're really interacting, mingling with the person.
Up close and personal.
Kana siya.
Murag ma-destroy ang imuhang concept of that person, right? Somehow, di ba? Because it is not 100% accurate. Di magin na siya imposible mo kay na i-pepper mo na i-varnish mo na ang labi na kung pananglitan ang usa ka tawo kaning medyo has a position in society,
right? Yeah.
Or maybe kanang naay position in government or in private in a company.
Yep.
Ilang gyud nang i-take care ang ilang image ba, di ba? So ayo pagsulog og puwa bay kay kaning kuan kay katanahon or whatever, di ba? Ayo pag binugoy ana bitaw ora bag branding ba. Mo man usa sa mga nakaapan sa kalibutan karon is the branding of people ba, because people are not brands, right?
No, of course not.
But mo man gibuhat karon, and I think that works. That works if you have certain agendas like getting elected or maybe getting appointed to certain positions of power, right? Branding nimo, di ba? So magisgot kita karong adlaw kay medyo today is actually the 26th of February, the EDSA revolution, People Power Revolution anniversary we celebrated yesterday, and murag 40 na katuig ang niagi since the revolution, right?
Mao na.
The so-called EDSA revolution, and we actually had a little celebration at the Plaza Independencia
Yeah.
with so many of our great local artists, headlined by Bongoys and Missing Filimon. It was organized by, of course, Mel Libre. Siya may nag-spearhead ng Yukbo Gyud. Yukbo is actually an event that started right after EDSA. It was murag spontaneous gathering of artists ba.
Yep.
And to celebrate EDSA and all that stuff. So that it's been 40 years. So kanang usa ka butang ba, di ba? Sometimes or most of the time a thing changes in time. Ako ka nga palabyo nimo ang panahon sa usa ka butang. Pareho ko nagkalagot nimo gud. Galagot ka, patyon na ko siya. Pagkuman, palabyo lang ko sa pila ka minutos, pila ka oras, usa ka adlaw. Di ba imong paminaw murag mausab na ba? Labi na ning kaning 40 na ka tuig, di ba? Dugay-dugay na gitong niagi sa panahon nga niagi since the EDSA revolution.
No.
So my question to all of us now today is this: what does EDSA mean to you now in 2026? I'll start and then ikaw sunod by Jaya.
Sige.
O niya, ikaw dayon sunod kaning Rafa.
Pwede.
Pwede, di ba? So ang ako ang take aning EDSA bay is this. First of all, my parents are in their 70s and 80s, right? So they really lived through martial law.
Yeah.
Dito gid sila to they really heard and saw and knew people who were kanang gidagit, wagtang lagalit, and so on and so forth. So they really lived through martial law. I myself am called a martial law baby because I was born in 1972, right? So katong EDSA for me when I was, I think, in UP High School, that was a very proud moment for us as high school students in UP because that was murag the first time we had something to show to the world. We could have a quote-unquote peaceful revolution, right? It was a revolution of rosaries and crosses and roses and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So the objective, of course, the main objective was to topple a dictatorship, diba? Kay that was in Ferdinand Marcos, diba? Nga grabe naman kay Tostanan. The narrative there was si Imelda Marcos nang Guinness Book World Record of the most number of pairs of shoes and all of that stuff. Yan ay mga storya nga ay mga golden nga kaning banyo kanang golden bathroom niya and golden lavatory. So grabe kayo ang excesses ba.
Wow.
Murag ang mga tao napulaan na. So gi overthrow siya nag-EDSA revolution and of course with the help of the Americans kay murag dili naman gyud mahimo nga tabangan pa nila ang administration kay murag ang revolution has hit a kind of tipping point ba. Nga murag dili na gyud mabagbag ba. So gikuha nila si Marcos ilang gipalupad via helicopter sa Hawaii, di ba?
Yeah.
So ang effect ato niya ang purpose gid ato niya, I'm sorry, is that the revolution was to remove a dictatorship, di ba? Mo gito siya. Di ba? Mo gito siya. Of course, a dictatorship would end all of its kaning fangs and all of its roots, di ba? I'm not sure if it was totally removed, but the head of the snake, so to speak, was kaning removed, right?
Yeah.
So ang akong feeling anang EDSA revolution, ang iyang purpose was really to restore order, to restore democracy ba. I think that's really the key word of that ba. Because we were already curtailed, the media was bombed, katong Radio Veritas gibombahan gud. So and then of course kaning mga military men all over the streets, right? So our freedoms were slowly curtailed, and so what had happened was we went back to a kind of set point ni balik ta og kaning muraga democratic republic.
Yeah.
And the democratic republic that we inherited from the revolution gave us Cory Aquino, right? Gave us ERAP, right? Artistang dako, di ba? Gave us a military man, right? In Fidel Ramos, di ba? Kaning military man ba nga presidente peligro kay nausahay kun hadlok sila na kay naay mga militaristic tendencies ba nga he could be the type of person nga would start another martial law of some sort, but that didn't happen, right? And it gave us GMA, di ba? The first woman president, the second woman president of the republic. It gave us Pinoy, di ba? The anak man ni siya ni Cory, di ba? And anak or isuon? Anak de. Anak. Oh, sorry
Only boy, the only boy.
Onya paghuman after Pinoy, it gave us who's the next one? Was it Digong?
The guy now, Digong.
Digong, di ba? It gave us this mayor from Davao, di ba?
Bisaya.
Oh,
Bisaya.
paghuman karon nibalik na pud si
Marcos.
BBM, di ba? Si ang anak ni Ferdinand Marcos, the very person that we toppled in 40 years ago, right?
Right.
So my take on this now is this: it is precisely because of democracy that allowed for all of those characters that I mentioned. Artista, na kaning mayor sa Davao, na babay, na military man. So it is precisely because we have democracy that allowed even the son of the same person that we dethroned 40 years ago was allowed to come back. That's democracy in action right there. Para nako, of course, part of what we toppled, what we removed, wala mo ginato not fully remove the tentacles of or the roots of the tree, but wa gid siya nahurot. So corruption is still around, very much around. But I think in terms of our democracy, I think it is precisely because we're a democratic nation that allowed for the return of even the person that we tried to remove. It's just ang ato ang biggest problem karon as a society is really corruption, or at least one of the biggest problems that we have today. So that's my take. Because of the revolution, we were able to bring back all of these diverse and interesting and even sometimes funny characters, jokers. Some people would call them jokers, right?
Yeah.
Precisely because of the democracy that we inherited from the revolution. So
Yes.
that's my take on that. And how about you, Bajaya? What do you think of the EDSA revolution now in 2026?
Well,
What does it mean to you?
kami mga I think almost 10 years after pud ni come from your generation and kining I also of course we gamay pa kay ko when Cory was put into her presidency na outthrown to si the father Marcos and then everything is just hearing that from the anniversary from katong 1990s na and so on. And now I think cause kato pa man ang I think did Bongbong also attempt to run during the time of Pinoy? Did he or was there any?
I don't think so. You guess who ran? It was actually it was Imelda Marcos who ran for president.
Imelda, the one who ran. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So and the thing about what do you call this? Kaning sa EDSA karon, and we've been seeing that because it's celebrated as a holiday, and
Is it? It's not even a holiday.
it's a holiday for most people. It's
Wait,
it's not it's a non-working holiday.
Okay.
Yeah, kumbaga like it's kind of like celebrated as such.
Yeah.
You know that
Do you think it's still relevant?
it's called people power, right? And everybody is aware of that, no? And then para lang nako coming from my generation, which really was what bagi kamuwang-muwang during that time when everything is experienced. And katong gi-mention ni Jiggy ganina nga katulagi na mga wagtang and so on. Ang masulti naman pud sa side sa ako mga ginikanan is that everybody else except Luzon was living during martial law. Was living the way they were living. Kumbaga, wala ra kaayo na much difference unless siguro they were involved with some form of like heavy politics good. No, and they are cronies of the Marcoses and
Or opponents.
opponents of them. Mo na siya, those are who are very politicized are the ones that really gets the kuan pet. But if you look at everyone else, I'd say they've been telling me, my parents told me, and di man kayo inaana gid the way they're portraying it. That's my take also of the generation I come from. Na the reason why people power came in the first place. But right now, seeing that, kato-sakto sa to, the whole effect of this whole celebration. It's not a holiday siguro, but it's a celebration of people who were able to put out a certain dictator and then replace that with a woman and bring back matriarchy, And that, for me, EDSA right now is, generally, man, it's just another celebration of a group of people that wants to have a certain memoriam of how they've succeeded in doing such kind of narrative again. Right? And again, for most of the generation that I come from, we were not really the one that really experienced much of the struggle. Wa pa mo gyud yung mga buot. And everything else was just.
But Isaac, padayon.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to interrupt you. Go
sige
ahead.
lang. And kay imo mang pangutana jig is now, man. What is EDSA now? Again, I just see that as another way of celebrating how people were able to successfully put their narrative in the picture. And for me, the same narrative is also actually, it's causing a lot of the polarity right now in terms of politics. And kumbaga, what changed? I'll just ask that question though. I'm not giving out so much of my belief system, but I just want to, leave out there in the open that what changed with this form of celebration.
So you think so you think that nothing has actually changed from 40 years ago? Is that what you're saying?
Kumbaga, it's actually coming back again and again and again.
Okay.
Coming back again.
Okay.
And again.
How about you, Raf? Unsay imong pananaw, Raf?
Well, if si Sir Bajaya kay Koan from the generation nga growing up sa aftermath, ako kay growing up well after na jud. As part of the younger batch sa Gen Z, kay ang akong personal conjud personal experience learning about EDSA People Power has been kind of I would say funny in a way, kay it really depended pod sa teachers who were teaching the about the topic, because there were some who talked about specifically how EDSA People Power is just one of the greatest achievements of the Filipino people, and that it was the ultimate expression now of the will of the people over and how the government is at the end of the day held accountable by the power of the people. And then napud ko yung mga uban nga teachers who ang ilang itudlo po sa mo is that EDSA is like the worst thing that ever happened to the Philippines.
Because
they were apparently big fans of President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. And sa ilang pananaw kay pare sa katong giingon ni Sir Jaya, it was primarily due sa within Luzon that experienced the brunt siguro of the matawag na to nga brutality of the Marcos nga regime. And if moadto na ka sa Mindanao ug sa Visayas, kay really it was the people that were his political opponents and political allies that could really feel much from from his time. And tugod siguro sa pagkalagi pa the fact nga we live in an archipelagic na nation, so very segmented ang perceptions of the people regarding sa time ni Ferdinand Marcos Sr. And because of that, I had teachers and who would tell me about the golden age of the Philippines lagi daw under Marcos. And I had also professors, not professors, but teachers growing up sa elementary who would tell me, no, actually, this is the best thing that ever happened to the Philippines. One of the best things that ever happened to the Philippines, like the ultimate expression of, like the power of the people, something like that. So for me, it's I've had to kind of navigate ang kanang two very opposing perceptions regarding the Marcos era and EDSA people power. And it's so funny because at certain points sa akong life kay I was so confused, Jude, about what to think about EDSA because you're just getting two competing voices all the time, and it's like it's hard to navigate all of that. Pero at the end of the day, I will have to agree, Jude, with the side that says that this was the ultimate expression of the political power of the people over the government, and how we can hold our government accountable, and we don't necessarily have to do it through violent means. So the fact, so if you're to ask me right now, what does EDSA people power mean to me? Or its significance to me. Its significance to me is that this was one of the most successful, peaceful revolutions, probably in the history of the world, no? So, kana jud ang focus nako or ang perception nako with regards to EDSA.
Oh, interesting. You know what? We'd like to say hi and good day to all of those joining us in our conversation. Blessy Racing Tolentino, to Sol Ordas, and a few other people watching and listening to us. Dakang salamat sa inyong pagtanaw. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Maraming salamat po. We're actually talking about the post-EDSA celebration yesterday and what EDSA means to us today in 2026, 40 years after. You know what? If you think about it, guys,
yeah,
EDSA revolution was just one revolution, right? But if you think about it, the past 40 years, there have been so many other revolutions. We don't even think about them as revolutions. But kung imog yung hunahunahon, there was the revolution of the computer, right? I remember back in college, first time pa ta nakahikap ng computer, di ba?
Yeah.
Sa San Carlos, kato MS-DOS pa, floppy disk pa. but we didn't know at that time, but that was actually the beginning of the computer revolution, right? And then there's the internet revolution, right? We're all interconnected. Now, I think that was also a huge seismic shift, not just all over the world, but more importantly here in the Philippines. And an argument can be made that that one was actually a bigger revolution than any revolution of humankind. And of course, then came social media, diba? And then came COVID-19. So what I'm saying ba is, daghang kaayong mga revolutions or at least earth-shaking, perspective-shattering events of our lifetime nga makaingon ta nga perhaps it is similar to or akin to an EDSA revolution, right? We just don't label it as such because maybe I don't know, murag daghan na kaayo mga revolution, we cannot label them as revolution. Sige lang tag revolution, di ba? Murag tag napula na tong EDSA DOS, di ba?
Exactly.
Sige lang tag revolution, di ba? So kung ano-ano gid nimo, daghan na kaayong mga gitayog na ta sa kalibutan for the past 40 years. And I think mura og the reason why the EDSA revolution is not as important as it should be by as far as a lot of people are concerned is or it has diminished its mystique, its power, significance is because we've had so many revolutions we have to deal with. You know what I mean? That's what I think. What do you think, guys?
True. I agree with you. That we don't call it revolution, but there are so much revolutions going on with technology, with the generational revolution, and even as small as a city that we have like micro revolutions going on.
Exactly, right? Kanang isigutin mo nga generational revolution man abay nga kada generation like disparate na kayo, lagyo na kayong pananaw sa kalibutan ba? More grabe kayong chasm, grabe kayong ang gap,
ang
right?
Gap, yeah. Especially with like emerging technologies and all that, na mga people within the older generation nga, when it comes to kanang simple tasks for Gen Alpha and Gen Z, kanang simpler kayo, especially with technology, kay na people from Gen X and even some millennials actually nga mo struggle with things that Gen Alpha and Gen Z consider very simple tasks.
Right.
Like even like starting up kanang what do you call this? Creating your own email. Kay I know people sa older generation who it's a real struggle para nila doing that, and this is something that's considered like a basic skill na for Gen Alpha and Gen Z. Oh, what about you guys? Like, namoilain mahuna-huna within this like generational gap, this sort of generation, how the generations, matawag ba na nga revolution or evolution?
Well, revolution, evolution, I think they're kind of related, but I think that the point is nga daghan kay itong nakatayog sa ato ang pananaw sa kalibutan, but the way we look at the world is so kaning turbulent ba in our heads ba. Nga mga mini explosions in our heads, murag kung simbako murag like strokes that we never even knew were there, right? Unya paghuman murag ang pananaw sa uban nga tao, especially the younger ones about EDSA is murag like that was nothing. Right? In terms of sheer number, we only had radio back then and television and newspaper, di ba?
Yeah.
In terms of sheer number, that was a lot, right? Because if you look at the streets, there were like 1 million people in the streets, right? But karon, like how many multi-millions of people have multi-million followers, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
Just one person, and they didn't even die for their country. You know what I mean?
No, of course not.
They probably just gave out a few thousand pesos, right? And they're more powerful than anyone, right? More influential than anyone.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a chance now. Bisan pag, like in the world of social media.
Oh.
Bisan pag wa gyud kay ikapang nganti or wa gyud kay ipakapa buga. Because you have a certain liking in that social media, wa na. You're more powerful. Your voice is available everywhere. Makadungog na sila nimo, kita na sila nimo.
Right. Kato ang mga truths atong una, di ba? Ang nag-trigger atong revolution is really the assassination of Benigno Aquino Jr., right? So, muto siya. So that was that one person, di ba? Onya, we all read the same newspaper, also the same television, listened to the same radio.
Yeah.
So murag because of these traditional media outlets, nakagather og millions of people in the streets, right? But that could easily be done by one social media influencer now, right? For example, Sweet Notes, di ba? Magkanta-kantal ni sila, pero kada performance nila, puno kay. I'm not saying a politician, a lawmaker is similar to a band. What I'm saying ba is just their pull ba, their ability to attract an audience ba.
I would say these social media influencers might even have more pull than some politicians do, because we've seen some influencers that are that have a global audience and a global nga pull. Like for example, si I Show Speed, pag abot niya diri sa Cebu, kay grabe.
Murag nabuang.
Like everywhere he went, there were people who were gathering around him, trying to follow him, and that didn't just happen here in the Philippines. Yato siya China, yato siya South America. Everywhere he went, people were gathering around him. And nakadumdum ko sa even when he went to like a European country, kay there were people who were not just crowding on him, they were literally trying to grab him.
Yeah.
Like pull him to their side. Kay they wanted to talk to him, they wanted to maybe just maybe just really just touch him or something like that. And it was a wild thing to think this one person went around the world, and everywhere he went, thousands would gather to see him.
But funny, no? Kay, I want to be honest, wala gyud ko kay ilang Speed until the guy showed up in TMC. And then I asked my kids, who's around 10, they know Speed. Ako wala.
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's also a bubble thing, right? I mean, like we're all programmed to follow what our personalities tells the algorithm that we would like to follow, diba?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I think, dako kayang range ni Speed specifically because he does variety content. So naa siya mga IRL streams, na siya video game streams, and probably the one that really gets a lot of people to is the video game streams.
And we kanang example niya is of course Amerika man na. Pero daghan kay tag mga examples na diri sa Pilipinas nga similar ana nga a kind of popularity ba nga minilyon ba, multi-million ba. So I think that's one of the many reasons why mura when we look back at that revolution, mura it's so easy for people to minimize it. Because we've had so many stops and starts, so many mini explosions in our heads, and so many explosions, so many revolutions in our society that murag muagtang na siya gabi na kay taka fast pace ang atong kalibutan karon bitaw.
Yeah, I'd like to take note stop and start because that generally is the essence of the EDSA thing. It's like to stop the current. What you call this, the current narrative, and then start another one or start another perspective, especially.
Well, let me repeat what I said earlier. Ang narrative ato niya is there was a dictator, and our freedoms were curtailed because of the military in the streets, and the media was curtailed. Even some of the TV shows we were watching as kids were getting canceled.
Yeah.
That sort of thing ba. So the narrative is we didn't have our rights were under threat.
Right.
We didn't have as much democracy as we would like to, and we removed the root cause. So that's the narrative.
Ako asang ma-add up to my take is I didn't really feel it until I am now facing it. Example. They were talking about curtailment of media before, disappearance of people and stuff like that. But right now, it's like, especially now in this administration, then you start to kind of like do the confirmation ba? The ones that you've heard before, mo connect bang good? Like, especially to how this administration is being run politically in that sense.
What do you mean may mo connect ba?
Katong mga tanan na mga accounts sa una nga because it could have been because bata palagi ka pakaibuta tong time
a specific example.
Pakaibuta tong time and then they kept saying nga kana gipang butang ang mga kwarta dito ana bitaw kanang the way the let's say the Marcoses was viewed. We really never really felt anything before. We never really even rode on that idea. But now makakita ka, especially if you're, connecting yourself to recent times and political departments in this government. I think naa na siya hinuoy mabutangan na hinuon nimo og light on those parts where especially right now, no? Especially with the whole thing going on, no? The flood control projects, everything else. I guess naana na siya mga corruption everywhere, but I think also it's about the time of the social media revolution. We are there now. I see that there was a reason why a lot of those people before during the time of the EDSA revolution, the first one that really exploded, that again took out the dictator and the people power. I kind of see the reason why they were really afraid of it. Or is there any possibility?
Who they?
The generation that was, or the people who shouted out or marched there in EDSA. And whoever was behind the whole, gathering and organizing of that. Because, mona nga, naman sa groups that would try to kind of like discredit it or not even make it
one of the most powerful forces that was part of that was the church, right? Grabe man kay to at that time back in the 80s, the church was very powerful, diba? More people really believed in what the leaders, it was at that time it was Cardinal Sin, right? Who the Archbishop, right?
Yes.
So grabe kay ka powerful ang church.
Yeah.
So mo na siya of course the power of the church, the power of religion in the hearts and minds of people have been greatly diminished now. So dili maka
They're still trying now.
Yeah, but I don't think it has as much power as we had back then. You were about to say something.
right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely agree nga kon. It doesn't have as much power, pero to say nga greatly diminished, I wouldn't necessarily agree. Kay I still remember gahapon sa event na to, kay event na to sa Yukbo, sa Plaza Independencia, kay one of the people in the audience mentioned specifically the fact nga this was ang EDSA People Power Revolution wasn't just a gathering of the people under one what do you call this political goal, but it was also a gathering of people under one faith. So I would say nga I think the religious aspect of it still holds a lot of weight to a lot of people.
Yeah, but you don't have gatherings as much as EDSA, or at least akin to EDSA, started by by church leaders ba. It's not like, for example, now even the EDSA Revolution celebrations, even in EDSA itself, it is not as big as it once was, right? And all of that.
Of course,
stuff.
it wouldn't be as big as what my. I mean, the EDSA. You mean the EDSA DOS?
No.
The current one? Yeah. Dili na.
Mo lagi morag na diminish na gyud ang. So the question
slowly
I guess that we
diluting.
can ask ourselves is is the message of EDSA worth preserving, and is it even relevant to this day and age in this very turbulent kaning times ba? Grabe kay mga changes ba nga dili na ka makasubay usahay bitaw mo, wagtang na ka ba, you get lost,
Right. Yeah.
because there's so many things going on at the same time. Do you think it is still important, Ralph and Bajay, nga manghisgot ani aning usa ka revolution 40 years ago?
Actually, for me, my take is it's very good. These types of things is still very, very effective, but not necessarily talk about EDSA. But it's like, look at how democracy brings us these things. That causes change. Nga mona nga we have a voice. We utilize that space for us to air out our voice. Magtapok ta, and now we use social media. It's just that di na siguro mao nga magsigpa kag ingon EDSA. Or that same thing about overthrowing. And again, I mentioned earlier nga now we realize and now we understand that the reason nga nung di gid sila ganahan ana nga pamilya is because they are surrounded by a lot of that, and it reveals
a lot of what?
A lot of the corruption, a lot of other stuff. That it reveals what the government can do if it's being run by this type of system. And that's why we constantly work for and really find ways. Nanggawas ron, a lot of people are clustering together to find a way to make better, systems. And I think right now, even them.
Like, are you talking about clustering, meaning like bubbles?
Social
media bubbles? No?
Not just bubbles, but maybe in the offices of the government.
Organizing.
Reorganizations,
okay.
Right? And it's going on. Right now, it's going on. And there are also a lot of mirroring happening around na yung mga ginagmay ng mga panghitabo sad in small units of societies. No? And again, with the church, they are not that effective right now because of the presence of the World Wide Web. Everybody's more wide in terms of looking at spirituality. They're not, anymore seeing that as the
especially
way we've
the younger
seen
ones,
it before.
right?
The younger ones, the new generation.
Yeah. So did we become, or did the Philippines become the very people that we tried to dethrone, to overthrow? Did we become that?
Grabe kay mo revolution.
Did we exactly become the people that we tried to overthrow?
I think
because the issue now is still the same.
No?
40 years ago, corruption.
Mo gani.
Same old shit if you think about it, right? So nga nun naghisgot man ta og corruption, karon nga mo man atong bisugan 40 ka tuig niagi, di ba? Nganong balik-balik kalimot na ta?
Lagi. I think kana nakalimot ang mga tao. There was a specific moment nga we were relishing on the victory. The high, daog na tong kuan ana. So kuno ni bugnaw, and then we did not really pay attention. Nga mo na dito ni bugnaw na ang kainit. Na dito ginagmay nga mga nisugod sa balik. It's just the same way when you do a detox, man. You think nga malimpyo na imuhang body niya. You slowly again accumulate toxins and debris and slowly, unless you keep regularly cleaning whatever that needs to be cleaned, no, within you and our government, unless proper laws were really enacted and then we really have a tradition and practice na musunod yuta of a proper elder and so on. Kay value systems na to, I think this is really important. Kung sundon nato properly atong value systems, what's kanang gitawag ni mga katigulangan system, it is very, very useful and helpful, especially any mga revolution, para di mo balik nga karon ba? Correct. Because we're fighting for corruption again.
Yeah. You're about to say something.
Same.
I would say nga maybe that might not be ideal pud. Because
what's not ideal?
Katong katigulangan nga
value
system.
What does katigulangan mean? What do you mean like
basically
elders.
Wala may tiguang na diri sa atong room karon. So kasi
wala tiguang diri.
Kasi pasabot mga tiguang.
Mga binatar ato diri, Pero ang pasabot ni Bajaya na is like the katong system that we relied on pre-colonial era.
Pre-colonial. Abot na pre-colonial.
Not only pre-colonial. Indigenous organizations still follow the elder system.
Okay. Yeah. Now basically, the eldest are considered the wisest, and people go to them for guidance.
Somehow.
Yeah. Pero I wouldn't say necessarily that is the most ideal. Especially because if you talk to a lot of older people right now as well, because they have a rather rose-tinted view of the past.
Of reality?
Of the past. Especially when it comes to the ang kanang Marcos nga era. I have a lot of older relatives that a lot of people would consider their elders now, who tell me things were so much better under Marcos actually, and all those things like that. So para nako, it might not be ideal because unfortunately maybe I think part of the problem is pati ang elders na to nakalimot pud sila.
More likely makalimot sila kay elders naman sila.
Yeah, dapat na.
Mo na siya.
Sa muka.
Yeah.
Nanawag na akong inahan.
Naman na pato yung kasi elders nimo.
Speaking of elders,
na-concerned na ba to siya? Kamusta ko no ang celebration ko no? Kay dili ko no kayo daghan ng celebration ko no dito sa Manila ko no.
Oh, really?
Wala kayo ba? So murag nahisgot siya nga na murag siya concerned ba? So
like impact siguro.
Ang concept gino na ba like it's like a part of us ba? A part of the generation ba?
Yeah.
Like for example, kanang the generation that fought the World Wars, di ba? World War II. Like, I remember my grandfather used to sit us down and talk about the war, di ba?
Yeah.
So it really is part of who they are ba? So kung wag tango na siya, kung makalimtan na siya, kung makalimtan na to ang essence niya, murag they feel like a part of themselves. Mosang mawa bitaw. Di ba? So I think that's why it's important to another generation, di ba?
Yeah, that's the essence nga. Di sila mawa, di sila mahanaw. Because you know what? When we're gone, man. Like, unless there's a story that goes behind you, that goes as part of you, you're still alive in the story of you, and then later on your next in line, and the so-called kin na to, ang mga nagsunod na to. So, in terms of essence ba, ang akong ganahan i-raise diri ba, like balik ta sa EDSA gyud nga purpose bitaw. Like muna nga, if ever mag-celebrate tani or if unsa man gani ang atong buhaton pohon sa society, what is really needed yun? Unsa anong nagbitay mo gining, anong mo balik-balik mo gining corruption?
Yeah.
I'm not saying Singapore removed corruption siguro 100%. We cannot say that in behalf
nobody
of
did.
No. And other countries were like corruption, kind of mga first world countries were like corruption, right?
There's a lot
right?
of corruption.
There's more corruption, in fact. An argument can be.
Lagi, how do we improve? Kay grabe naman gyud kay lantaran naman kayo sa Tagalog and lata na kayo sa Bisaya. Nga naungay gyud ang imo makita. Raw infrastructures, ghost projects, even ghost students, by the way, from the Department of Education.
Ghost girlfriends, ano? Ghost girl.
Yeah, kana. Ikaw rin makatubag siguro.
Or lahi pa ng form of corruption.
Lahi pa ng corruption.
Nagpa si Ugdan sa ni si Jiggy Juice. Asa naman ang mga ghost?
ipakita ang mga ghost girlfriends.
So muna siya. So I think the important part here, I think, is that we're talking about it. And we have to understand, as you know, we all go through seismic changes in our lives, right?
Yeah.
From the macro, from the societal level, even to the personal, right? Atong what happens to our family, diba? You know, like maybe something simbako tragic happens to our family, or this and that, diba? Grabe jud kayo ang panghitabo karon. I think back then, 40 years ago, was a simpler time in many ways, right? It was so much simpler for a human being to be. Nya karon murag grabe na kay komplikado, right?
Gitawag pa nila the OG era.
Oh, right, diba?
The OG era.
Sa na kay maka-decide ta, magrevolusyon ta, adto ta dito sa kay pero karon daghan makay options sa largan lang tayo or mag-TikTok na lang ko diba?
TikTok or duha ko kaning COD or Roblox nga bata.
Kwarta mo ko diri social media, pasag di na sila diha, diba?
Yeah. Like some people would just rather focus on themselves and their survival.
The revolution now, bro. Sorry, you're about to say something.
Go.
The revolution now is to take us into the meta world. That's the thing. Because I actually noticed myself. Ako lang, I have to confess this.
Sige.
Mas nitaas ako ang consumption and time.
Di lang ka na porn, ba? Di man ka na porn.
Na ay gamayng close to that. Tanaw mga kuan. You know, mga nindots mata ba?
Sige.
So somehow you're hooked in. Especially if you got really good devices and access to a good quality internet, no? Kuan jud, like
convincing kayo
na wala pa gani ko atong VR and you know a chair that lingkod sa bangko, but you look at it, there are a lot of meta applications right now that you can be anywhere.
Isn't this where they want us to be?
Yeah.
This is exactly where they want us to be, so that we can be easier to control.
That's the thing.
Diba? So katong revolution niya itong una happened because we were so difficult to control, right? Because we only had like television, newspaper, and radio, diba? Even then, lisod na sila i-control, di ba? Kay bumbahan pa nila ang radio station para mapawong, di ba? Pero karon saan niyo pagpawong ang internet, di ba? Saan niyo pagpawong ang wifi, di ba?
China tried to restrict their internet.
But you can't, right?
You can't.
I mean, we already have like ang gitawag na to what do you call this? Like tawag na Starlink that people like Elon Musk.
What is he doing?
Starlink pa.
Unsa man yung buhaton ni Elon Musk?
Have you heard recently in Iran, the government actually did shut down the internet for 10 days. Nobody could access the internet. So ang gibuhat nila is they shipped in some Starlinks into Iran so people could connect to the internet.
Okay.
So that's another form of new emerging technology that even though governments are trying to restrict access to the internet, some people, because of VPNs and because of technologies like kanang gitawag na Starlink satellite systems, people are able to access the internet irregardless of kaning mga local nga tamperings by ilang government, because Iran shut down their internet for 10 whole days.
Okay.
So they can shut it down. Pero ang con sa China, their goal is not necessarily to shut down the internet, but to filter the internet. Kanang severely conjured.
Okay, grabe man kay impact tong mga like the apps like TikTok,
so I think
Facebook, and so on.
Like we talked about earlier, kaning mga revolution na, they're more seismic than it's a revolution. The revolution of computers, the revolution of the internet, the social media revolution, and all of that stuff. So kanisha, I think this is where we should pay our attention to. In fact, nagsugod-sugod naman og restrict ang kalibutan sa internet karon, di ba? I think it's a landmark decision in Australia. If you're 16 years old,
for the young
below,
ones,
you can't have a social media account.
Yeah, that's a good one, and that's a usable one.
If you are able to enroll on a social media account, it will be the social media companies that will be fined Dili ang person. Not the parents, but the social media company mismo ang ma-find. So, dako kayo nga-find ba?
Yeah, they're trying, man, sa Juice. They're trying to make sure that it's more kanang curtailed or manageable because, again, if you do not regulate this, mo na nitabo.
So, if you do not regulate the internet, if you do not regulate social media, we will all be like zombies.
Definitely, man.
And
Definitely.
we will just be controlled by a touch of a button.
Yeah.
And mo na yung mga ganahan sa mga dictator types. Mo na ganahan sa mga tao nga ganahan sila mo control sa ilang society, di ba? Ang ganahan sila nga makontrol mo sa social media. Nga akibaw ko asa ni si Bayjaya adto na po ni singilit nga dapit kunsa man dito.
Location on ko na si Bayjaya god. Kita ni mo. Ay patot oh.
Kita di Jaya.
Ya magsige pag yung post sa iyang gibot, nagkape siya sa bros sa tops, patay.
Ipa-salvage ka sayo na kay pangita.
Dalir kaya sus dali arin tawhan na itultulo na.
So mo na siya. I think the revolution will come from there siguro for us to resist this
I
social media AI revolution, diba?
Not really resist, but regulate lang siguro. I think regulation.
Yeah.
Because when you say resist, you really don't want it, and it's regulate. Like we're still using it.
Yeah, but what? Regulation, magod is. I mean, that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to regulate. In other words, we're going to try to control the beast, right?
Control the beast,
man. Atong suwayan kung makontrol ba nato.
Right.
Right.
Hulk.
But the profit motive ba? The profit motive. Everything is more efficient. It's bigger, better. Bigger, better, faster, diba? Less people and you know how it is, right? If you're a business owner, the more people involved, the more headache, diba? So ano ito, imong kompanya, maghimo ka gon, whatever, usar lang ka tao, pandaron lang sa computer, diba? Instead of hiring 1,000 people, diba? The profit motive, isug man kayo na ba? Kusog man kayo na. Grabe man kayo na ka-powerful ang profit motive, diba? So, anong mga nanguna man ko sa kinabuhi, sa welfare, sa wellness, akong mga public, kung haruhay ko dito, mularga na lang ko dito, guan, kaning sana butan para maglipay-lipay ko dito, mag-yoga-yoga ko dito, di ba?
Oh, yeah. Like, we lose the fact and essence that no man is an island. Simple. Yeah. As much as you want. Mula gina, they're pulling us in, so that we're really easily to control, and eventually we'll be all that.
So do you think we will ever have as a parting state, as a culmination? But do you think we will ever have a kind of EDSA revolution? Do you think revolutions like that can still happen?
I think right now, for me lang, I've learned that whole revolution is about really focusing our group call for that specific whatever. Kay naitabo magud na nawa na ang purpose ba. That we then focus on it and then really make sure that we put in all the mechanisms so that it doesn't come back. Kay kung mo manggani ng suryaha nga it's just within a generation, how many times? Balik-balik ba? There's EDSA 1, there's EDSA 2, and then napato unta to EDSA 3.
Whatever, man.
And then right now, whatever they call that, EDSA.
But like I said, there are bigger revolutions that have happened in the last 40 years. Bigger than
those.
Those three revolutions.
Bigger than those. But then why do we have to still see this thing? It's ginagmay naman day kay ni. Why not really just cut to the chase, man? And then, man na.
No, but see, the thing is, like I said earlier, just like our grandfathers talking about World War I, World War II, it's really a part of them. It's a part of it's a part of us.
It's gonna be the story na lang good.
The Battle of Mactan is still celebrated until now. Half a century ago, and it's still talked about until now. So it's really part of our history, ba?
Yeah.
And
but ay nagbalik ka nga EDSA gyapon. Wala na.
So no, but I'm asking the question is, do you think we will ever have a revolution of some sort? Similar to.
There will always be revolutions, though. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Okay.
Grabe naman kita ka-fragmented ba as a society.
Yeah.
I think in terms of like people power, I think it's really just. I think the power of a unifying message is just one singular goal. This one, people gathering together under one value, one specific goal. I think that's still very much possible. Although people, I mean, you could say we were also fragmented back then. Not necessarily through social media messaging, but through the fact now, we're an archipelagic nation. So in a way, we were fragmented back then under EDSA
Our
as well.
setup.
But I think social media has the power to fragment us further, and it also has the power to bring us even closer than ever before. So I would say I can still see it being a possibility, Jud. We could have something similar to EDSA People Power Revolution. Again, people, basically the Filipino people coming together under one message to, basically change the country for better, hopefully.
The thing with revolutions is that it's not a cure-all. It's not a panacea. It's not. It's not an elixir. It's not something that you do and it's done. I think, especially, democracy, right? It is a daily struggle. I think we have to understand that. Portapulan mo gud mo. Di ba? Kapoy mo gud bay. Kapoy la sigil nag pagigbiso, kapoy mamahuway ta mo retire tayo, di ba? Tiguwang na Tarsan, di ba? Kabantay ka na ba nga feelings sa uban ng mga tiguwang mga leader ba? I'm just gonna enjoy my riches, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna steal money from the government anyway. Retired naman ko. Retire naman ko po, di ba? Ano ba ito ba? Nga mentality ito ba? Nga kapoy mo ko ng pakigbisog ba? Kapoy mo ko ng sige kag fight ba? Kapoy ka na sige kag struggle ba? And the fight for democracy is a constant struggle. In fact, we're still fighting about it 40 years after, di ba?
Yeah.
True.
So kapoy na ba? So how do you persist? How do you get the grit? How do you not want to give up, bay? Nga kapoy mo na, bay? It's a constant struggle there.
That's correct.
What about
That's correct.
what's that guy's name? The guy who was pushing the rock in the hill.
Si
Forgot his name.
Forgot his name.
Anyway.
Basta katong Greek figure.
Greek.
You're saying Atlas.
No.
Atlas.
Whatever.
Atlas was the one that was
Sisyphus.
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 Yeah, the one rolling the con.
I see, yeah.
Wow, ginikumanan. But in fact, this is a very Buddhist precept. The point of it all is the struggle. It's really the struggle. So have a revolution every single day of your life and enjoy the revolution. Is what I say.
Be that. Because we deviate ourselves. We avert ourselves from the word struggle. Kana ba? Like we cannot succeed without it. There's
kapoy struggle.
Lagi dili makita sa mga tao that ako sad, I understand that building muscle, you need to lift some weights.
Yeah, exactly.
Lagi build kang muscle, imagine lang ka. But there's also a part of that in terms of science that when you visualize all the time and
I know. I visualize my abs.
See na abs. So kana like it's struggle, man. Like we have to make the effort to achieve the means.
In this world of instant coffee, instant this, instant that.
The world of
sachet
convenience.
culture and everything.
Samot na taga walay patience for struggle ba?
Yeah, definitely. I think this is something that we talked about way back sa one of our shows. Pero this ang generation karon kay they have a very weak understanding of kanang delayed gratification. The fact that your hard work can accumulate into something good for you, but it's gonna take a while.
Yeah.
Ang generation karon, especially Gen Alpha, very very short attention span and very impatient. Sila maka-wait for their reward, but they want it now.
Are they capable of revolutions?
Siguro, hopefully, if they mature.
That's a good question, though.
If they mature,
they're always capable of doing stuff. They're always capable.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of willpower and just them learning.
Well, they like you just said, they don't have no willpower, man.
They have the willpower, pero they're channeling it through the wrong way. Nasa yung willpower, pero
to sit on the couch for the entire day and play Dota, right?
Yeah, that's
looking
the
at the
willpower.
screen.
That's the willpower.
That's the
their
willpower.
man.
That's their willpower.
To obey their parents.
Shout out Kuya Magic.
Oh, amazing!
Our
live stream is
comments.
beautiful. It's like a mini revolution of some sort, right? Seriously, man. I think we need to. I think this is an ongoing discussion. I think
It should be.
and I think if you guys want to join in the conversation about the EDSA revolution and any revolution for that matter, maybe we forgot about other revolutions that you guys want to talk about or pitch in. Just post it on our social media platforms.
Right.
On Facebook, 105.1 TMC, on YouTube,
Yes.
Tops Media Center, also on TikTok, Tops Media Center. Just join us in our conversation.
Oh, yeah.
about the significance of EDSA revolution back in 1986, 40 years after, and also maybe perhaps you can add some more other revolutions that have happened in the past 40 years. Okay, daghang salamat. Bye, Jaya!
Daghang salamat kaninyo tanan nga naminaw karong adlaw. Adlawng danghus.
Danghus.
All right.
Ano, dili danghus no eh. Danghus was Tuesday, right?
Yeah. Thursday
On
na
the-
karon.
Thursday.
Unsay Bisaya sa
He has
unsay
another,
Bisaya sa
he has another
Thursday.
revolution in his head.
But anyway, revolution-wise, it's always there. Well, ako sa gani, kung ingon ni Jiggy na struggle like, yeah, I also have my own revolution going on, bringing us back to our ways. Mutong katigulangan.
By
So,
Jaya.
paminaw lang mo, permi.
Ikaw diya, kaning by Raf.
Mm.
Sa may mga kasulti. As a matter of, as a way of saying goodbye to our listeners and viewers.
All I can say is, guys, ang pinaka-importante jud para nato para makadala tag tinuod nga change sa atong nasod kay willpower lang jud.
Willpower.
Kana.
Murag tambal na ba? Mapalin as pharmacy ba, willpower?
But unta maybe in the future basin.
Okay, I'm gonna leave us with a quote. One of my favorite quotes. I don't know who I attributed it to, or I can't remember at least. Somebody once said, nga, "Life is good because it's hard. Life is good because it's hard. So choose your hard wisely." Thank you so much, you guys.
Mayong adlaw
Alright.
kanyong tanan.